the lost weeks? So the lost weeks are the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas that feels really much like a haze. That's why I call them the lost weeks, because we usually, after Thanksgiving, we're kind of going into this space with very jumbled kind of thoughts. And oftentimes we kind of slip into this mentality of, you know what, I'm just going to wait till next year to make any changes. It's hectic. You're doing shopping, you're getting gifts, you're going to parties, you have work stuff to, finish and deadlines, and there's kind of a lot going on. So it's so easy to slip into this mentality of, I'll just wait till, the new year to come to make any changes. But when you break it down and when you say, okay, Thanksgiving, what was the date of Thanksgiving? The 24th? And the 24th. Thanksgiving was November 24th, and then Christmas is December 24th and 25th. So when you break it down like that, that is 4 full weeks. And do you know how many eating opportunities you have in 4 full weeks? A lot. So when you have this mentality of I'll just wait, it's no point in starting, it's no point in trying, it's no point, that is a big mistake. And that's why I like to talk about this in my holiday guide of the lost weeks, where it's the holiday season to me includes Halloween, of course, that's when things kick off. And then we have to talk about Thanksgiving. And then we have to talk about this time period between, and then we have to talk about Christmas. There are different parts and there are different things that require different strategies and different approaches and things that are hard in those moments. So when we talk about these lost weeks, these 4 full weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's a lot of different challenges. That it's not just about parties, it's not just about the food or the recipes or the treats. It's really about, a lot of the emotions that we feel and how to handle those. And also when I talk about mentality, it is really a mental game. And what we need to do to get through these weeks is going to look different than typically how we approach fat loss in other periods of time. If you were trying to lose weight maybe in the summer, you might have a different approach than when we're talking about the lost weeks of in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And that's exactly what I talk about in my guide of breaking it down, where food and your calories are most likely going to be a little bit higher, and that's totally fine. That doesn't mean your progress has to be lost, but usually you need to couple that with a little bit higher intensity types of workouts to help with the balance of fat loss. And there are definitely strategies and kind of timeless things and things hey, you're kind of going back to your regularly scheduled program. But if you're somebody who's just starting out and somebody who's kind of not necessarily in the thick of it, it's you don't really have a regularly scheduled program. You're still kind of figuring out what that is. So that's why it's helpful to have guidance and to have somebody who can show you and to kind of break down what those different challenges are and how to handle them based off of strategies and not just, do this and do that, because that's not going to help you. What you need to do is come up with your own type of way. The emotions that are typically involved during this time is really kind of twofold. So there's one side of the emotions that is a lot of striving for perfectionism, striving to kind of make up for things. A lot of worry and uncertainty of oh my God, I made this mistake. I have to fix it. I have to go full force. Maybe you even kind of get in the mode of I need to restrict myself even more, or I messed up my fat loss. So that means I have to fix it by doing or eating less, or, kind of going down that rabbit hole. And a lot of times that is, situations that we are like beating ourselves up in the name of motivation. Like, oh, no, I'm just being motivated. Like, I need to get back on the train, get back on the track. And we end up really digging into these really super like negative emotions that actually do nothing for us and make this time simply miserable. Especially when we're talking about like, if you're trying to lose fat, it's miserable. It's you're making it much harder for yourself. And then there's that other side of it where we almost like slip into this state of denial, where we kind of like cover our eyes and we're like, there's really nothing I can do about it. You know, it's like, oh, I'll just wait till later. Like it's too hard to try to do anything now. So like, I'm stuck. I just have to kind of leave it what it is. And then typically what happens is like, we really don't want to be doing that deep down. Like that's not really what we want to do, but we're scared and we are fearful. And that's why we kind of slip into that, cover our eyes and like, don't want to talk about it. Like don't see, don't tell type of mentality. And a lot of time that leads to like that specific type of emotion, like that side of the emotion will lead to like anger, inner anger, where you're mad at yourself. And that can come up as being mad at your family members, like lashing out, not being able to handle stress, not being able to handle things easily because like you're really unhappy with the decision that you're making because it's not really what you want to be doing. So those are the two sides of like the emotional kind of turmoil during these weeks. And what you need to do is come up with, rather than being in the either side of the spectrum, which is like very extreme type of emotions, you want to get into what I call holiday flow, where it's almost like an experimental type of mentality, where you're saying to yourself and you're thinking like, okay, how can I make this hard, challenging, difficult thing easier for myself? And as I said before, and that's why I created this guide, Fat Loss Through the Holidays is all about this concept that I call holiday flow and strategies to tap into this holiday flow. So you're not in this state of, on either side of the spectrum, and you're able to make conscious, sustainable reality decisions that don't take you completely out of the game and also allow you to tap into the enjoyable aspects of the holiday. You focus on how to make things easier for yourself, you will realize that it's not about avoiding things. It's about setting yourself up for success come January. So you're not restarting anything, you're just continuing something, which completely changes the game of fat loss when we're not always in a state of restarting. We're like, no, we're just almost like pausing. We're almost like utilizing strategies and we're continuing when we get to that point of kind of like the holiday chaos being over, which it's totally fine and totally normal. It's a part of life. So you're not saying no to things, you're getting into flow, holiday flow. And that's, I put this in my guide, an entire sample meal plan, an entire 4-week fat loss friendly workout plan that you can follow, and all under $20, and you can have it. These are timeless strategies that you can have year after year. You can buy this once and use it every single year around this time to be able to manage your weight in a much more relaxing, enjoyable way.